Hi, I'm Ron Goldstein, and thank you for watching the very first episode of Real Estate for Newlyweds. So you've spent all this time and all this effort preparing a beautiful wedding for yourselves. Now it's time to spend some time to plan a beautiful life for yourself. And the starting point is, where are we going to live? In this first episode, we're going to be talking about some of the considerations of doing that. And then in future episodes, we'll be talking about the planning and how do you go about making it all happen. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you start considering. Most people start the process by asking themselves some key questions. Number one, if both of you have an existing apartment or an existing house, do you want to move into his place or her place, or maybe even stay with your parents? Or most likely, you want to get a fresh start. You want this new blended place. And will you be cramming everything from both households into one apartment? These will help you make great decisions. Next, you might discuss, what kind of environment do we want to be in? Do we want to live downtown? Do we want an urban setting? Do we want a loft or some environment like that? Or do we want to be in suburbia? Do we want to live in a Highlands ranch or a Castle Rock, somewhere where there might be lots of walking trails and recreation centers? Or still, one more is to choose, maybe we want to be in a rural community. Maybe we want a horse property. That would be our next step. Another major criteria for where you might want to live would be the proximity to your work, the proximity to each of your work, actually. After all, do you want to spend an hour in the car each way? The additional thing that you need to consider is the cost of gasoline these days. 2 cars moving an hour each way times $3.50 to $4 a gallon gets quite expensive. Maybe light rail is an answer for you. Do you need to live close to a light rail or close to a bus route? Those are things you ought to discuss before looking at properties. You also might consider lifestyle. Do you want to be near parks? Is recreation an important thing to you? Or maybe restaurants or movie theaters or shopping malls. Those are all important. Sports. Do you want to be near fields that have soccer? Or do you want to be close to the mountains so that you can ski? All of those things are things that you ought to consider early on in the process. It's not too early to consider a neighborhood that has the right school district. First of all, a lot of marriages now are blends that have children from previous marriages, and for sure they need to consider school districts. But even for newlyweds who have no children, it's important to consider, are we going to be in this house for a long time? And do we want to start our family here? And is the school district an important consideration for us? It's never too early to think about that. Not as critical in the beginning, but still an important thing to think about is what kind of property might you like to move into? Do you want a house or an apartment or a condo? Do those things matter? Do you want garage, inside, outside, or parking on the street? And then the last thing to consider is the floor plan. And by floor plan, I mean, how many bedrooms do you need? How many bathrooms? Do you need a garage, 1 car or 2 car? Do you need a dining room so that you can have that family dinner at Thanksgiving? How about the kitchen? Do you need a kitchen with lots of room, not much room? Is cooking an important thing for you? All of those things are important things to consider early on. So now you've considered a little bit about what kind of house you want or what kind of apartment you want. Let's take the very last step. The last thing to consider is, do we want to rent or do we want to buy? And for many people, it's rent now and buy in the future. In future episodes, we're going to be talking about what does it take to buy a house and what are the qualifications that you might need to be able to buy a house. But given the choice, most people think that the idea of owning something is a fairly important thing. It adds stability. Thank you for spending time with me today. I look forward to seeing you in the future. Our next episode is going to be about finances and how to plan and get your lives off to a great start. So until then, I'm Rohn Goldstein, Real Estate for Newlyweds at RE/MAX Masters. Thanks, and make it a great day.